Hey, everybody. It is your host here with Contractor Radio, Jim Johnson, the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, where we help contractors get control of their business by becoming better leaders so that those businesses can grow and expand and offer opportunity and achieve what we think most of you are after, which is the freedom to do what you want to do with who you want to do it with when you want to do it. That's what our goal is here at Contractor Coach Pro. We've helped hundreds of contractors do that, and we can help you do the same thing by growing that business in a way that it helps you achieve your dreams. I'm pretty excited about today's guest. The reason for that is I genuinely just like the guy. Like, he's a cool guy, but he's also really good at what he does. He's a meme master. He is top 3 of all the ones in our industry. And he is a guy that is passionate about what he does. And he's a marketer, which most of those guys I don't like, just to be honest with you. I don't like most of them. They're all out there. I get 30 leads in 30 days. Crap. Quit, ignore that stuff and listen to a pro. We have today the rock star himself, Mr. Tim Brown. Hey, Tim, what's going on, man? Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this in particular today.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. We kind of talked a little bit about because I don't know, marketing's marketing, right? Like, I get leads, and are they good or bad? And salespeople all say they're bad, and marketers say they're all good, right? That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So before we get started, why don't you, for the listeners, and you're one of, I think, 3 second-time guests.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty rare for me to put somebody on a second time, and the only reason I do is if they bring high-quality conversation content for our listening audience, and you're one of those people. So tell everybody who you are, who you're with, and kind of a little bit of the story about Hook Agency.
Sure. Yeah, Hook Agency is my company. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's 28 people as of today. We just got our 28th person. And we are a company that does SEO, Google Ads, and website design. We do custom work. A lot of these companies copy and paste. And then for SEO, you get set it and forget it. And we are different than both of those things. We're relentless, and we do custom work that's built to fit people like a glove. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I was in school 10 years ago, built a little bit of a business in school, went and worked for somebody else after school, then went out on my own. And one of the things that allowed me to go out on my own is I learned how to create leads on the internet. And I was having people coming talk to me. Even Mall of America was a client. And I brought that client. I got a lead on my website, but I brought it to my employer at that time. And I kind of realized I was able to design, develop, and do all this stuff. And I'm able to create leads. I kind of felt like it was time to go out on my own. And I started in design, but people wanted me to help them make more leads happen. And so I got the opportunity to do that for people. And even though they knew I was kind of new at it, we were talking 7 years ago, they let me do it, which was really cool of them. And I helped them do it, and they trusted that I was, going to be vigorous about it. When I went out on my own 2 or 3 years ago, so I actually went out on my own 6+ years ago, but 2 or 3 years ago now, we started to get some roofing clients and roofing and home services. We had a good concentration there. And we had somebody, Dmitry Lipinski, who started to promote us on his YouTube channel. And then we had just more people that in the roofing industry that started to say really nice things about us. So we just started to get more and more clients. Now we have 57 roofing companies and a good chunk of other home services. So that, and a year ago, I started to make memes. So that's part of the story too, because that's helped get us a little bit more traction and visibility. And through that and through all these things, because I study algorithms, Google's algorithm, but for promoting my own business, social algorithms, we learned a lot about, because of memes and because of short form video, we learned a lot, and we're learning a lot all the time about what works on these algorithms. And I set out to go viral at the beginning of this year, it's so dumb. It's such a dumb.
I remember that. I was actually on my list of questions to ask you. How did the go viral thing go?
So I went viral. So I just hit 10 million views on the worst meme I've ever created in my life. About it was like making fun of millennials and Gen Z, and like because so many people hated it, they hated it so bad they hated it into like virality. And I say that because we're talking about a little bit about the responsibility of like, unfortunately, the algorithm loves negative stuff. The algorithm loves negative stuff. So this was kind of a negative meme, and now I feel dumb for it going viral. But nonetheless, I wanted to go viral, so it's checked out.
You got it, but it wasn't what you thought it was.
Yeah, I thought. Well, who knows? It's just so funny. It's like every morning I wake up. This is such a bad like priming thing. You're not supposed to look at your phone for a little while when you wake up. I look at my phone. I look at the recent comments on this meme, and I just like read like 10 hate comments every morning. Like get myself into a good mood,
put you in a good mindset, ready to go for the day.
It's just like calling me a boomer and all these things, and they're just like, it's so negative, and it was accidental, but whatever. We're past it.
That's fantastic. That actually cracks me up quite a bit. Yeah. Because I was wondering how that went.
Yeah, so, it happened, but I don't know if it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so let's talk about that first. We got some other things to talk about, but let's talk about that because I was talking with another individual. I won't name names, but it was there was some frustration, almost like jealousy. Maybe might be the core word of that. Like, you see others putting stuff out that is either like no value to it, it's repeated from somebody else type of thing, or it's silly, or it's not what you would call intelligent and valuable and practical. It is the stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you see them do it. Actually, I'll tell you what it was. We got called out for you and Patrick Carr. You and Patrick Carr.
Oh, yeah.
Because you guys are coming to our event, Top Rep. Anybody that hasn't been to Top Rep needs to be there. If you're a salesperson, you want to increase your closing percentages and all that good stuff, ad ran. There you go. Go to topreptraining.com.
Yeah.
You guys are coming to the event, and you're going to compete against each other. And we put out a picture about, you two battling each other, right? There's a little bit of UFC look to it.
Sure.
Not really with this, like, you're going to fight thing. You're going to compete against each other to see who finishes with the higher score during our dog fights that we have, where people compete to see who can perform the presentation, what we teach the best.
I've been running the flashcards, by the way, and I'm really excited about it. These flashcards are really cool. What is that deck called? It's called
pivot points. It's where a sale pivots. And it's either going to pivot good or bad.
I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying studying. I'm also one of your guys' students, Dylan Herman.
Yeah,
coming down next Monday to train me. So I am it's my Rocky montage. I'm getting ready. Yeah. But somebody posted about that and was kind of like annoyed with all the fights in the industry or whatever.
Yeah. They got lumped in with Dimitri and Lee Hay and all, like, that's like, they're actually going to fight. I'm like, technically we're not us. It's not, us well enough to know that that's not really our jam. Right.
Yeah.
But the reason he made the post is because he knew it would provoke conversation, because he's made millions of other posts that were a lot of intelligent, high value, great content stuff that didn't get a lot of engagement. I make a lot of those posts. I make a lot of posts. I'm like, this is the most brilliant thing that anybody has ever put on Facebook. And like, how in the world could somebody not respond to that? Even with like good questions and all the other stuff that they tell you to do to get interaction, right?
And then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think you have to have a balance of those two. You have to have kind of provocative, in your face stuff that's challenging. And this is me just like amorally kind of talking about this. Like, I'm not making a value judgment here. I'm literally just saying, like, if for the algorithm's sake, we need a balance of like provocative content that asks like kind of intense questions or even says something is bad, because that's what his post was. It was kind of saying it's bad. And he wasn't like, we won't go into that because I got my feelings hurt a little bit on that post. So I was like, damn,
I did too. Whatever. I was like, hey, wait a minute now.
Yeah,
we're not fighting each other, so relax.
But then for the most part, you don't want your content to be totally that. Because if you do that all the time, people will start to see you. It's like a boy who cried wolf type thing. It's like, I always am inflaming people. So then you know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily the brand that you want. You don't want your brand to be inflaming constantly. So like, I look at it as like 10%. You want 10% spicy. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm like, well, who do you want your client to be? Do you want your client to be that person that gets inflamed by every negative thing that you can possibly say out there? Then you should put that stuff out there and you're going to get a lot of those people.
Exactly. We say we want calm, not agitated clients. Mm-hmm. And I do think when you promote that way, you're more likely to get agitated, inflamed, and you know what? He called us out a little bit. So this is a little bit of a call out. Well, we're talking about it, right? But that's what people want. They want you to talk about their thing. And I think that, like, noting, because I took a walk with my wife that evening in our beautiful area in Minnesota, and my wife was a little annoyed by it, to be honest with you. She was a little annoyed because it didn't seem like, honestly, up to the level of whatever that she expects from that person. And I mean, this is
me too. I literally called him. Like, we had a phone call. We talked on the phone for an hour about this, and he was honest with what it was. There was some jealousy there going, hey, this, provoking and hype type stuff is what's getting all the attention. So maybe I should do some of it. But it wasn't it wasn't on brand. It was off brand.
It wasn't on brand. You're right. And I do stuff that's not on brand sometimes because excuse me, burped.
Not on brand. This causes me heartburn too.
Not on brand. Because I get a little thirsty sometimes. I get thirsty for likes, and getting thirsty for likes is fine as long as you don't do something stupid. You know what I mean? Like honestly, we're all fine after that post. Like, we're going to be fine. And I knew what it was. Like, and I kind of just explained to my wife, she's a little frustrated, but I'm like, you know what? At least we're in the mix. I mean, I don't know. I want to be talking about us.
What do they say? No press is bad
publicity press. No press is bad press. Now, I don't agree with that one. I think you should, like, there's certainly things that your character can then get shown, and it can be very bad. But I think ultimately you want to keep the ratio pretty low on super spicy content. I think it's not the best. And even if it is, like, let's say you get 70 likes. 70, man. 70 is like, whoa. In niche world, like for a roofing company, maybe you could go more than that. You do something human interest. You just show pet. You have a deal. You do a giveaway. You do all these lovely things.
Put a roof on a veteran's house. Like, any of those kind of community service type stuff is going to get a lot of play.
But for a niche player like us, as we're serving roofing companies and home service businesses, we're not going to get 70 on average, just a little lower. So, like, getting that feels good. But is it, I heard someone say, if they're promoting their thing, but it was like, if you know that the amount of impressions doesn't equal the amount of people that were impressed.
I like that.
I like that too, because it's just like, no offense, but people like stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that they said, I think this person is a better service provider, so I'm going to like this. Sometimes they like it just to say, that's not me. And I'm acknowledging that's not me. Oh, thank God I'm not the one under the heat lamps today. Right. I comment on stuff sometimes, just say, this isn't about me, like, just so you know.
I'm very much like, we're aware of this now, because I'll be honest, there was some jealousy of my own over the years with, like, God, man, this guy's like all over the place and he's getting all these interaction stuff. But when I really thought about it, it's because it was very provoking, pretty negative. That kind of stuff is what seems to get the most attention, and pretty simple, right? Like, there wasn't a lot of value to it or depth to it. And so we talked about it here, and we're like, that's not us. Let's not be something we're not. And so by sharing the things we share, we know they're not going to get a lot of likes. They're not going to get a lot of that kind of stuff. necessarily, although our podcast has gone through the roof for some reason or another. It's kind of you guys. It's not us. It's you guys like, hey, that's why we're watching the podcast.
Yeah.
But what it does speak to is the type of clients we want. It attracts them specifically. They like that sticks out to them because they hear what it is that they're searching for. And so we don't need a lot of clients. We just really need a few. So keep sharing our message the way we share it. We'll have a little fun here and there. I mean, this whole thing with you and Patrick Carr, that's a little bit of fun.
Just a touch of spice. It's a touch of spice. And it was,
without being,
we knew when we put it, sorry, when I knew when I put that out.
We really thought we weren't being provocative in any way. Just being
you
fun.
didn't tell me to do do it with Patrick's giant arm, kind of us with you didn't tell me to make fists. I chose to do that because I like a little extra spice. I'm authentically a touch more spicy. I had somebody,
but that's who you are. That is your voice. That is your, it's what attracts people to you. They're going to be a little spicy too, which is cool. You're going to like them. They're going to have a good fit, right? I really hate interrupting these videos, but I've got some important information for you. If you haven't tried out Atlas Shingles, you should, because they put you first as a contractor. They want to give you a competitive advantage out in the field so that you can win more sales and be more profitable. Check out Atlas in your local area, find your local rep, get hooked up with them today, and start making more money tomorrow.
But I think ultimately what we're getting at too on this particular podcast is we have a responsibility to somewhat authentically represent what we actually want out in the world. We have some responsibility to not do spicy and provocative things just to get clout on the internet that will then negatively affect people's lives. Because there are things that you can do. Like my buddy was telling me there's these fractal tables, and it's not even negative. So I just want to use kind of like a basic example, but there's these, they take bolts or something and they put it on either side of a table, and then they electrocute the table and it does like a fractal design, and it was all over TikTok. But a ton of people have died trying to make those fractal tables, apparently.
That seems bad.
So there's a danger, this is a very interesting, it's good content and they went very viral, right? But there's a danger too to people that aren't fully trained or understand what they're looking at in that particular situation that will hurt themselves.
Yeah, grab both those things at the same time, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what these people are doing, but I'm just saying there's a good chunk apparently of people that have died doing this. And it's just kind of noting that there's a little bit of a danger to all of our, when we get too spicy or negative online, because we're kind of creating some, if that's not 10% and now 50% of your content is now negative or whatever, and I'm saying 10 because that's what I'm comfortable with. If 50% of your content is negative, even if the person deserves it, because no offense, a lot of people deserve it, right? We could go after, but that's it kind of gets us stuck in that spot where one, you attract maybe some, if you're a home service contractor and you're going after the people that do the bad installs, you do that occasionally, maybe just to show what a good install looks like. But then if you're doing it 50% of the time, one, you're going to attract weird clients, and two, you're going to essentially create this negative vibe around contractors. You're basically putting it out in the world, and it's very strong. That idea is very strong. So that is
already pretty strong. They already think we're something terrible.
But it's a little bit because of ourselves sometimes, because we're promoting that idea of the negative contractor, the scammy contractor. Roofers talk about scammy roofers a lot. And it kind of gets it stuck, and it's a very strong idea. So even though it's only 50% of the time, it starts to become the identity of the industry. And that's where we kind of I think we lose control of the narrative. It's no longer us versus them. It's just homeowners versus roofers, or homeowners versus home service contractors.
Yeah. And the words you use and the approach you take whenever, people make bad installs. It is just what it is. Yeah. And to go out there and video that and notice it and then give some instruction on how it could have been done properly with this intent to not only serve the homeowner, but other contractors, I think would come off a lot better.
Yeah,
I think there wouldn't be that negativity to it. And I think the thing that we're really honing in on here is if you're going to go out there and put your voice out there, realize that people are listening. It may be a few, it may be many, but neither of that really matters. You have a responsibility to those who are listening.
Yeah.
I hate this term influencer. I just, whatever reason, it just gives me a heebie-jeebies. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
I'm not wired that way. I'm not looking for anybody to go, oh, Jim Johnson's amazing. But it has been a bit assigned to me because we do have like thousands of people that follow what we do and what we share and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And it's constantly on my mind that I have this responsibility to those that I'm about. It actually locks me up sometimes. Like it locks me up from creating content because I'm like, I really want to talk about this thing, but I want to get it right before I go and put it out there.
Sure.
And I think so many of us struggle with that. It kind of holds us back sometimes. And it's okay to make a mistake here and there. But
and that's
knowing
something
who
that
you are is important.
Yeah, and I would say contractors we get stuck. It's tough. There's this balance of like, we want you to post on the internet, right? Like, don't let this stop you. Do it poorly if you need to first, because it's so good for your business. We just want you to do it. I mean, it's not the main thing, obviously, like your core values and what's you're trying to do different in your culture is going to come out in your marketing. Like that's the most important stuff.
Yeah.
How you treat customers, how you get referrals and 5-star reviews. That's the most important stuff. But then the social stuff, I want you to post. So I don't want people to get totally locked up. But
I think people really want to hear a story.
Yeah.
Now you have a choice of that story being negative or positive, and with the way of the world today, it seems like negative attracts more attention.
Yeah.
But I tell you, there's a lot of people like me out there. I haven't watched the news in 13 years. It doesn't come on in my house. It's negative. If you're negative on my Facebook stuff, you're gone. I don't even warn you. I just like unfriend. I don't need that in my life. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that is who your measure is, right? Like that's who is listening to you. Yeah.
And I think that one thing to note too is negativity is always going to be more, it grabs attention. Because that's what we're talking about, right? It grabs attention.
It's human behavior. It is human behavior.
Why is that? Because I do think it goes back before the internet. It goes back before terrible news in the newspaper. I think it goes way back.
Oh, I think we're hardwired for it.
Yeah, because the whole fight or flight thing. Like you're looking for snakes in the dark because
there's this idea of I'm better than you. I see what you did there and I'm better than that.
Yeah. And status. And we're always trying to one up each other for status. And we're also always trying to look for danger. So for some reason it works, right? If you put the big red spinning lights on top of something, because it's danger.
I wish I knew why it was, but and I think it's just nature, like that fight or flight thing. I don't know, but it seems like it's a lot easier to jump on the bandwagon of pushing people down than it is to jump on the bandwagon to lift others up. And I think that's why we're attracted to that stuff.
It goes into like the primordial part of our brains, which is tough because we want to use, like, I'm a marketer, man. I want to use.
Yeah, you know what to use.
I want to use the stuff that works. And that's where I don't want to I can't say I don't want to, I want to use it. I want to use it in such a way that's accurate. You know what I mean? Like, and let's just say Jim's not agreeing with what Tim's saying. We're gonna listen fully before Jim doesn't have to nod on this. I'm just saying what I think, which is that I want as many eyeballs on what I have to offer as possible. And you might too, as a home service contractor. I want as many eyeballs, right, as I possibly can get. And because I believe I'm the best at what I do. And I think you might believe that as well. And if there is some way to incorporate a dash of fear, a dash of us versus them, and a dash of danger, because you and I have both seen people go with the wrong contractor and get burned severely by having to redo their roof in 2 years, or, there's a fly by night roofing company that leaves town and doesn't honor their warranties or whatever it happens to be. So there's an element of, we want to put a dash. This is me, maybe not Jim, but I want to put a dash of that into the top of my marketing. Like, I want it to catch people's attention so that we can sell them something that's better than what our competitor has. And so that's where I do think I do utilize this principle, and I don't fully judge it. And that's probably because I'm a touch just like, I'm just pragmatic. And I hate
fair.
yeah.
Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I think there's some difference too that needs to be like honed in on.
Yeah.
If I want to sell thousands of something, I'm probably going to need a hype man. Somebody that's the hype guy. Like, he just gets the attention and draws a bunch of attention and all that other stuff. And I want to sell a whole bunch of whatever it is. The people that come to mind for me, like Grant Cardone's of the world, right? Like, super hypey. Gary V is another one. Like, those super hypey on stuff all the time. They say provocative as well as valuable stuff. Like, I don't want to discount that there's not value in what either one of those guys do.
But they're known for hype.
Yeah, but they're trying to sell thousands of something. Where if I don't have to sell thousands, but I have to concentrate on quality versus quantity, your message can be different. Yeah. I'm not saying one is right or wrong. I'm just saying they can be different.
Yeah, and I do think, like, to distinguish one more way is, like, some people make that their whole thing. And what I'm asking you to do is learn a dash of it. Like, Donald Miller.
Sprinkle it in like seasoning, right?
Yeah. Not like that's the whole dish. Because if that's the whole dish, you will overpower the dish, and all of people will get is heat. We've all had that meal where it's like there's no other flavors. There's no garlic. There's no salt. That's just heat. And you're just like, this was not good.
Maybe it's like green beans. Like, if you eat green beans, just green beans, that's pretty boring, right? Add a little salt and pepper, they're a little better. Put a little bacon in it, man. Now we're rocking some butter. But I still want to taste the green beans.
Yeah, let's just keep talking about food. Like, hey, what else do we got? Like, let's go to I'm just getting hungry here. Yeah.
No, we do some of that stuff where we will challenge some of the status quo.
Yeah.
But we do it in a way that brings it into our world to bring the positive back out.
Yeah.
And we know our voice. I think that's really a part of it too, is like, do you know your voice and who you are? Like, Tim, you're okay with it. Like, you're like, my voice is this, and we're good with you being that way. I want to be really clear about that.
Yeah. But I just didn't want to make it seem like you were signing off on what I was saying, because sometimes we can just like have a little
well, you have a different business than I have. You have different needs than I have. You have different beliefs than I have, and that's okay. That's not one is better than the other. They're just different, and I think we need to have more conversation around that. Like, it's okay to be different. I mean, Dimitri is probably the most provocative person out there that's like on people all the time. And I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. And it's weird because I learned from him a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and it always scared the crap out of me. Like,
this is a podcast. You can say whatever you want. You're good.
Yeah. It scared me because I my wife was like, I don't know about this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and we ended up working together, and we've talked about that together, that story and all that. But I learned from him, man. Like, it's hard. It's hard when you're a small business, and it's hard to get attention. And there are cheat codes for getting attention. And so it's hard to not, once you see some of them, to not be like, oh, let me just press those cheat code buttons again. A little bit of negativity here, and boom, boom, boom. And then we got attention.
Hey, people are watching us.
How can we wield that like in the right direction? But like, so it's hard. It's hard to be a small business and need attention. And most roofing contractors and home services, they need a good amount of attention. They need to sell 1,000 of something this year, right? Like, it's hard.
Very well could be. Now, yes, they could be selling 1,000. Or they could be selling 50 very high-end, really nice, slate roofs and stuff like that. It seems to me that message is maybe a little bit different too. Okay, so we get the point. We got responsibility. Our voice is the voice we should stick with authenticity. Like, I think it's very authentic for you, Tim, to add some spice into what you do.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think most people go, it's not like if I started doing a little bit of that, everybody go, what happened to Jim?
Oh, one quick caveat is you have to be ready for haters. If you're going to get that extra attention, you're going to have people that are negative. Like I'm not surprised that we had somebody a little bit weird and mad about us in a post last week. I'm also used to it right now. Like I said, I wake up every morning and prime my mind with 10 negative comments. I'm like, but I remember, so I'm just saying, like, if you go that route where you add spice, just don't be surprised. There will be more negativity that comes your way. Because if you put negative out, it comes back. So don't be surprised by it. And not always negative, but spice. If you put spice out, some negativity comes back. And then Dimitri taught me this, which I'm not telling you this is a good lesson. I'm just saying, like, this.
It's fair. It's good.
He would say, like, you have to make fun of yourself when somebody's negative, like, because I was on his podcast and there's a bunch of negativity, and I just was like, he's like, you make fun of yourself more than they made fun of you in a way. Like, you just have to take yourself less seriously if you do all this. So that's just my last caveat is you have to like make fun of yourself in addition to them making fun of you. Otherwise it gets in your head too much and they win. So anyways, last thing.
No, that was good. That was really good. So we got this ability to get eyes on us, and we can do that in a variety of different ways with video, short form video. You might actually mention some short form video. Why has that become so popular? Yeah,
I think it really comes down to how are we using social media when we pop on, and the more particular platform is pushing something, like TikTok came out, is all short form video. Then Instagram and Facebook both added it, and YouTube Shorts. So it all kind of came in very quickly because they realized that if people get kind of in this hole, let's say, that they're going to get stuck a little easier because short form video is so kind of like involving, and it kind of like there's funny, there's emotional.
That was just interesting enough. I should look at the next one.
Yeah, and it's just like, and we've noticed bringing our average from like 1 minute, because we were using the whole minute because YouTube Shorts is 1 minute. So we put it out on all the platforms, and you should too. Don't just put it out on TikTok or Facebook, put it out on all the platforms every single time. You should do that. But we would do it for 1 minute. And what we've kind of realized is the shorter ones do really, really well. Maybe it's not as informational, but maybe it's a little bit more entertaining. So what we've been trying to do is go a little bit towards the entertaining and mix in the informational occasionally. And then we tried to bring it down. So if the thought gets said in 20 seconds, let's leave it 20 seconds. Let's not add the context for the minute. And it's okay that people disagree with you. And I realize that that's a little bit like, like,
no, I'm actually good with that.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, as long as it was authentic, what you said, and you really believe it and you believe it's accurate, then it's okay if people disagree with you.
Well, I when it first was out, and really for quite some time, like it's been around now for what, a couple of years, this short form thing, maybe longer with TikTok.
I feel like a year or two where it's been like, it's been 2 years ago. It was like, whoa, it's kind of coming in. And then 1 year ago, it's like, everyone is doing this.
Right. And it was very disappointing to me at first. Like I think about things maybe way too much, but I'm like, God, is that really all people have time for? A few seconds of listening to somebody talk, and they're on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Yeah. And it was like an indictment on us as human beings. What have we become, right? Like this just instant gratification. Give me this thing now. And if it's longer than a minute, I can't take you, right? Like that was a bit of my thought process. But I sat there here recently and thought about this. And I went, wait a minute. That's all the time I have to create the content too sometimes. Like creating a 20-minute, 30-minute YouTube or that type of thing, man, that's a lot of effort. And we've kind of short-circuited it sometimes by creating that 20 or 30-minute piece of like this. You and I today, we're creating a 45-minute thing, maybe an hour, depends. When it's done, we're going to pull those good, really strong nuggets, the ones that we think, hey, people want to hear and pay attention to, and we'll split them up, put them on Shorts and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the other stuff, right? with the hopes that they come back for the real meat, right? Like come back for the thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes all I have is 30 seconds or a minute. And that's
It's like
all I've got.
Costco samples, man.
What's that?
It's like Costco samples. You go in, they give you the little like, hey, you might want, this bagel. And you're like, ooh, maybe
that is you just told everybody you're from Minnesota.
Yeah, bagel.
You called it a bagel.
Bagel.
It's a bagel. It's a bagel. What's wrong with you people? One of the first
you're giving out these Costco samples, and then you're saying, "Hey, maybe you want those bagels."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here I am interrupting you again, but this is an important message you do not want to miss because it's about AI. AI in sales. Could you imagine having every sales call recorded, analyzed, tell you what's winning, share it with everybody else so they can start winning? Everybody's closing percentages go through the roof. If you haven't heard of Rilla Voice, you need to. Go check out Rilla today in the comments below. That's so good. That's funny. All right. So that's a little bit about short form video. Do you think it's like we must be doing that, everybody?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of places where you could waste your effort today. Like I think that there's certainly, you don't chase purely after likes, but if I post something and it's getting 2 or 3 likes or something, I am kind of concerned that I might be wasting my time creating that content, which is, it's true. We have to, like, we need attention. You know what I mean? For small businesses, growing businesses, we need attention. And I kind of have to watch, like spending too much of my time. Like I've been doing a lot of lives and I've been doing it on my personal channel and it was working last year and now it's not working. I'm just going to stop doing them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to sit there and constantly hammer something that's not working. So short form is where people's attention is. And Gary Vee, you mentioned Gary Vee, he says like, and he's like, I sometimes watch young people on their phones when I'm in an airplane. It's like kind of creepy, but I kind of get what he's saying. Like, they're on Snapchat. I'm going to like, what are we doing on marketing on Snapchat? They're on TikTok now. What am I doing on TikTok now? Like if that's your audience.
Yeah. What's everybody doing?
Yeah.
And what is your audience doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't think my audience is a bunch of teenagers, right?
Not yet. We're not those people that are on. Sorry, I was thinking TikTok. They're maybe not as heavy there, but like, time passes, right? So it's kind of preparing ourselves. And then short form on Facebook, because I know that short form video, they have the reels, right? That people in Gen X and even older, I think that there is people spending time on video on Facebook. So
yeah, I have to guard myself pretty hard. This is one of those things. Like I got to be very aware of it.
I don't spend a lot of time consuming. I think that that's anyone that's creating all this needs to kind of note that there's a major danger here, which is, are you spending an hour? I guess I do kind of like, I do spend like maybe a half an hour every day kind of consuming a little bit of content.
Here's the question. What are you doing it for? Are you doing it to learn from other people? Or are you doing it to just be mindlessly entertained?
This is such a good question because the answer to this question, if I answer honestly, should inform all of your content creation. Because I am a homeowner and I am like, I'm on the, my age group is on the come up as far as home buyers and people making big home improvement decisions. And I'm going there to be entertained. I'm going there to laugh for a couple minutes at lunch. I'm going there to see something that I can talk to my friend about at work. I'm going there to distract myself. And I'm not going there to learn. And I know that this, like, it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts because it's like, no, I want you to learn from my content and I want it to be nutritional. But if it's all green beans and no bacon, then no one's coming back to your stuff.
Now I'm starving. I'm actually doing the whole intermittent fasting thing right now. So I don't eat. I don't eat for another 45 minutes.
No wonder we're talking about food. Yeah.
Yeah. I started it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
All right. So short form, important. I think the thing that you just called out there, like if you listen to the whole podcast to this point, that was maybe the most important thing. What are you really going there for? Ask yourself that.
Yeah.
Ask what your ideal client is going there for and get an honest answer. Because if they're going there to be entertained, you should maybe be entertaining, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In my particular circumstance, I get that and I know that. I want the few that are there to be educated. The ones that are learning, because think of what it is. We have knowledge that we're sharing. We're different from you. You have this service that you provide that gets them more leads.
Yeah.
We're
You're
here
selling an information product and information and consulting.
Yeah. It's just a different thing.
We put out a lot of informational content too. I do think that on average, I actually believe that to try to create entertaining content, it's actually harder in a lot of ways. I'm just throwing that out there. And I think you will find that as a home service contractor, if you believe that your people want to be entertained too, it sometimes takes a little bit more effort to try to be
unless
entertained.
You're naturally predicated towards it, which I have been called out by my team a little bit. They're like, "Hey, dude, you're actually pretty funny. You should maybe share a little bit more of that stuff out there instead of always just with your education, right?"
Exactly. And then from this podcast, if somebody's clipping it up, there's times where we were kind of joking back and forth. And since my video guy's right here, I'll just say those are great things to clip, right? Like that's what you do, is just note that we're telling jokes amongst this thing. It doesn't always have to be like punchy, like this is the best information in the world. Just cut a few times where we laugh too. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Put that one-liner in the podcast if you think it stands alone. Or in the short form, in the bagel samples.
And that applies to contractors too. The very exact same thing. Hey, you're out there recording all the content. Record the part where your ladder fell down, or record the part where something silly happened, right? Like you dropped your, or the worst. I would take an old iPad and do this.
Yeah.
I know it's maybe not authentic, but I would do this. I would go up on a roof, drop my iPad. It was on video. It's slides down the roof, hits the gutter, flips over the top, and hits the concrete. It's an old one. It's not a working one. It's just was sitting around the house. I think people would watch that.
Yeah.
And it's just mindless. It doesn't provide any value other than maybe I should do something else to have it lanyarded to myself or something.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's what people want to see, is the entertaining stuff. Sometimes even other people are just as dumb as me stuff.
Yeah.
That works pretty well.
And I go out to roofing companies and kind of shadow them sometimes. And I always am surprised by how much funny stuff is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
We think we're supposed to be corporate and buttoned up, because I think small businesses, we have a little bit of a complex. We're trying to compete with the big guys, and so we need to look clean and clean cut all the time. It's you guys are hilarious. These dudes new boot goofing in the back, and this guy's got his lunch from 3 months ago that's still in the fridge, and there's people just giving each other a hard time, but they're having a good time. That is all content. I saw I was at a roofing company, and there's they had a picture of him with a raccoon, and
a raccoon on the roof.
They had a raccoon, a baby raccoon. It was adorable. It was funny. And I'm just tell people to name the raccoon. And so they put that out and got hundreds of comments or whatever. And you're seeing all this stuff, and just let a little bit more of it through. Authentically let more of it through. Cause I think we're stopping some of it. We're not letting it onto our social because it doesn't feel professional. What I'm asking you to do is people are just doing people do business with humans, and that's why we let more of it on.
I think people want to interact with other human beings, not other businesses. And I think they want to be a part of your story. So share your story, share your core values and what they mean to you and why. Share your community service. They want to see that stuff, and they want to be a part of hey, that's the type of company I want to have working with me. Okay. Last subject, because we're running out of time here.
Sure.
I'm scared to even talk about it. AI.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, I know you love it. I love it too, which is the part that scares me about it, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's like, because I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I look at AI, I hear a lot of very radical things, but I
yeah,
do look at AI as um, a massive technology leap, kind of like what the smartphone was to the flip phone or
hmm
a computer was to a typewriter, right? Like, it's this
hmm
big leap forward in a very short period of time. And I feel like it is a double-edged sword. It's
Oh yeah.
something that could be used nefariously and take value away from you and actually dumb us down,
Hmm.
or it could be used wisely to gather more knowledge and solve the repetitive stuff that we do all the time that we already know and get that done so that we can be
Yeah.
more effective and efficient. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think my immediate reaction when I saw ChatGPT just kind of spreading like wildfire and like there was a lot of doomsday predictions around it was fear. I think I had an initial reaction of fear, and then I had a second reaction of, all right, everyone in my business, I'm going to incentivize you to find a creative way to use this. Um, and and then now I just kind of have a figure out what it is good at and try to use it for that. I don't like, for instance, I don't know if it's good for social posting. I see people like post like a social media that clearly looks like a chat GPT like prompt and like what you do is you lose people. You lose people caring about what you're saying. Like if you on social media, it just looks cheesy, right? Like there's certain things where it's not good. So don't do it just because it's not I'm saying don't do it because it's
You
not
have seen the ones where you can like shoot a bunch of video of yourself and record a bunch of your own voice and everything, and it does like you. Now,
I mean, it's all kind of a
it's
little bit of a
robotic still.
novelty. Yeah.
It's not perfect by a long shot. You know
Yeah.
immediately.
It's a novelty now and it doesn't look good. They don't make you look good. And you're probably like, the only reason it would be going viral or doing any major views at this moment is probably
Is
because of the
everybody making
novel.
fun of it?
Yeah. Cause it's interesting and kind of like, whoa,
I
holy
just
crap.
gave you a piece of content. I just gave you a
Yeah.
piece of content. Go record yourself a whole bunch. Go record your
Yeah.
video. Go record your audio, and then create a hook leads short form video with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think of AI? And just let it go. Like
Yeah.
it's going to get a lot of content.
But over time, like what I see it kind of like you said, the repetitive stuff and things where you're like, if you do the work, I always think about this with like roofing. If you've done the work before, you're at an advantage because you kind of understand how the exterior envelope of the home works and how everything interconnects. Like, so you can advocate for yourself to an insurance company properly, and you can accurately ask for what you need in certain situations, even if you're not the one doing the work, because you know how the work gets done. And I would encourage people the same way with marketing is if you don't know how the work gets done, you're going to be kind of bad at managing how the work gets done. So you're going to ask AI to do things that you don't know how to do. And when you do that, you get bad outputs. I'll tell you what, my prompts to AI are pretty damn good. Like, because I know what I'm asking for. I made a commercial recently just for fun. I made the Evil Leak AI video commercial on our YouTube. Feel free to go check it out. And I knew what I was asking from the beginning, though. I want you to make the homeowner the hero of the story, and I want you to make the villain the leak. And I want you to create a story where the homeowner becomes the hero with the guide of the contractor. And they even help them through the insurance paperwork. So it like tells the story. Go check it out. That kind of, and it was beautiful. It was like not, it's not going to win any awards, but it was like a pretty good commercial that it wrote because I know the mechanics that good marketing, like I know the mechanics of good marketing. And so
the output is only as good as the input.
Yeah. And you should be studying the mechanics of good marketing if you're doing your own, which I love when people do. And I think there's some roofing company owners that do marketing for themselves better than any outside entity ever could. And I think that that's beautiful. And I think you should pursue that.
Yeah, they have put in a lot of time and energy to understand marketing from not only a strategic standpoint, but from a philosophic standpoint. Like what and psychology. Like there's a lot of effort and technology. Like they put in, it's a bunch to make all that work. Whenever it comes to marketing for one of our roofing companies, it's nice to have somebody like Hook Leads just do it for you. Like they've put in all the time and effort and energy. But if that's something you're passionate about, you should absolutely chase that. And as your business gets bigger and bigger, you're probably going to bring that thing in house.
And I think that, so just to wrap up that, my little philosophy on the AI stuff. One, that book I was talking about, the principles that I think are really good, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I think a lot of you would enjoy that. It's a good kind of like primer for some of these basic marketing concepts that will help you do it better. And I think over time, it's going to get better. Use it for that busy work stuff that that you know how to do, but you can use it to get it done quicker. That's what I think. But it's ultimately best wielded by people that know how to do the initial thing, and don't try to skip that, because that's like you couldn't even examine whether it was good or not. That's
yeah. I think you got to do that part first. Like if you're going to go that route, you got to do that part first. Instead of trying to get the end output, the result output, you got to go, okay, what are some of the core concepts to marketing for a home service business? Or any type of service business? What are the core concepts that people respond to? And you start doing this own research and study and everything. One of the people I think is really nervous about ChatGPT, I think Google is nervous.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're like, I can have a better conversation with ChatGPT in searching for certain things than I can with Google.
So that's why generative search is on the come up. So Google's answer to that is Bard, and they are on it, and it will decrease click-through rate. So whenever there's they call it a featured snippet answer at the top of Google, the click-through rate for the number one result goes down 7%. So generative search will probably decrease it maybe like 7 or 10%, that first result. And so just noting that search engine marketing is getting harder. It's getting easier in one way, because maybe you could create some content with ChatGPT, but it's getting harder in another way, which is that Google is just going to start giving people the answer more than it did before.
I have it on like, I do a search. I'm doing a Bible study and stuff like that. And so I do a search on a commentary on the verse or verses I'm studying. Yeah. And so when my results come back, the very first thing I see is a commentary on that particular verse or verses that I'm looking at. Like, I don't see any other like links to somebody else, and there's not even a link in it. It's just like, what's the answer, right? That's what you're talking about with generative search, right?
Yes. Okay, I want to do a funny little foray into, because I did go to Bible school for a second.
Okay,
and
cool.
Do you remember what exegesis is? And what's the other one? Exegesis versus. Oh,
don't. I am a lay.
Eisegesis. But I think this is, I want you, there's a payoff here. So if you're listening to this, don't leave just because I'm saying weird words. The ChatGPT is a language model. It knows how to aggregate language and recycle it in such a way that appears like it's something. It is not a knowledge.
It appears like a back and forth conversation with something intelligent.
But it's not a knowledge model, meaning it doesn't understand the core. It doesn't understand the envelope of the home. It doesn't, like, you have unique original knowledge about how things work fundamentally, basically physics. And it has the ability to aggregate and recycle language, which language is not reality, right? Language is a reflection of reality. And the same goes with I know I lost some people on this. Just
no, keep going. I'm interested. You got me. So yeah, I'm interested. Let's go.
So eisegesis is where, if you're a preacher, you can decide on a topic and then find Bible verses to justify the topic. And it would be essentially a low end preacher versus looking for, and this is such a weird thing to talk about related to ChatGPT, but it really does relate. Exegesis is the preacher looks at the scripture and then tries to derive information out of that and builds the message on that, which is like essentially
based on a foundational knowledge
of that information.
Right.
And it's kind of like the difference between, the language model and the knowledge model is like in the case of exegesis, studying the original, that's what our brains are doing and can create compelling original content in a way that's going to surpass ChatGPT until it becomes a knowledge model, which we're so far away from that. It's incredible. It would have to scan every piece of reality and how mechanics work on every single thing for it to be a knowledge model. But that's what our brains are doing. So your brain, and Chat's like, Jack over here is like, you lost me a while ago.
He's like, all right, what happened?
Yes. But that knowledge model that we have of the world, it's fascinating how incredible the human brain is. And ChatGPT is wild, right? It's mind blowing. But the brain is so much more incredibly fascinating that it has this ability to understand the way things work fundamentally and then give you words to describe that. ChatGPT is not that.
That's why we hate most of the outputs we get from ChatGPT.
It's not exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like you're trying to get it to, like, I've done it before. I've tried to get it to make something like a social post or something. It's like not describing exactly what I'm talking about. And if you are a good marketer, or if you're a good communicator, which you Jim, you are an incredible communicator, then you will always be able to find a little bit more accurate words. We're talking about accuracy in your marketing. It ties together with the spiciness. If you authentically believe something that's a little bit provocative, I think that's great marketing. If you authentically believe it, it's not when you just kind of like you're doing it to rile people up.
Yeah. Hey, this has been an awesome show. I will tell you this. I did experience some eisegesis. I went to a new church this past Sunday, and I got a lot of eisegesis. Yeah,
one of those mega churches.
It started out with politics, and I went, "Uh-oh, we might be heading in the wrong direction here." I didn't think you were allowed to do that.
I have a strong feeling about how the world should work. Now I'm going to go dig into this this text to find something that I want to. And by the way, I'm not like a super Christian, so I shouldn't even be talking.
No, you're good. You're good. I don't think we have to be super. I think it's just it's okay. Yeah. So awesome show today. I wish I could keep going. I think it would be uber valuable to get even more. If you want more information about these things and how to talk with it, how does somebody get a hold of you, Tim?
Yeah, check us out at hookagency.com. There's a spot to schedule a brief intro call if you're interested. Otherwise, follow me on facebook.com/invigorated. Facebook.com/invigorated. I put out a lot of roofing memes, short form entertaining content, and I'd love to connect with you there.
Yeah, I think marketing is getting harder and harder. And the more of it, there's just these layers that keep going on to the onion that at some point we just go, I don't want to do that anymore for myself. Yeah. Hook Agency is one of the few on the planet that I would trust to take that on for you. So check them out. Have them hop online with you, show you what they do. If you want to get more leads and hook those better leads, these guys can help you do that. Tim, thanks for being on the show today, man. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for entertaining a couple of those rabbit holes.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Hey, it's just being real and authentic. Hey, share our true beliefs about things. Usually goes pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me on the show. We'll see you next time around. I don't know. Are you? Where will you be next? Where's your next event?
Atlas event in
Atlanta.
And
I will be high-fiving you. I will be there.
Yes. Are you talking too?
I am. I'm speaking.
Yes. That's going to be fun.
I'm the closer.
Events are cool.
Yeah, these events are great. We're at the Battery, which is the Braves like area there at Fulton County Stadium, which is called something else nowadays. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I heard some inside scoop. Bring your ball glove. Like bring your
Really?
glove. Yeah, like seriously, bring your glove. You're going to want
All
to.
right.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
Cool. We'll see you later, man. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was Tim Brown, one of the best at this, just really thinking about what is happening in the present and the implications that's going to have on our future, being ahead of the curve a little bit on certain things. I think that's really important. And just this insight about what people really want versus what we think they want. Just look around a little bit. Ask your kids, ask your friends, ask the sons and daughters of friends. You'll be surprised if you ask them to be honest, like the question I asked, like, are you doing it to just mindlessly be entertained? Or are you trying to find value? Figure out which one it is and then go for it with that. Hope you learned something today. Hope we brought you value. If you're trying to grow your business in a way that achieves some personal and financial freedom for you while having an impact that's valuable on those that work for you, the clients you serve, and yourself, check us out at Contractor Coach Pro. In the show notes, there will be a link to our assessment. Take that assessment. It'll take you 15, 20 minutes. If you're not willing to put 15 to 20 minutes into your business, you're probably not our client. But if you are willing to put that 15 to 20 minutes into your business to take that assessment, we will hop on a real free coaching call with you. We will actually sit there and coach you on the 2 or 3 things that you should do next in your business to grow your business. If you like coaching and want to work with us, great. If you don't, that's okay too. At least we served you well that day. Thanks for being here on our podcast. Thanks for being one of those people that downloads and subscribes. Please do so. Go check us out on YouTube. Keep up with our podcast. Make sure that you set the reminders for whenever they come out because there's great information for you to become a better contractor today. We'll see you on our next episode.